universe.
DCEU and the Arrowverse both met their ends last year, and it pains me to say that both went out with a whimper instead of a bang.
Godspeed.
James Gunn is in the process of making the revamped version of the DC universe, and while I am really excited for it, I do have some fears. Look at this cast we have for Superman Legacy. Obviously, Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor have to be there. But Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho, the Engineer, what are all of these extra characters doing here? Keep in mind that this is the first film in this new DC universe, and it already feels too overstuffed with characters. It should be a simple Superman story. We should get a more fleshed out version of Superman compared to the DCEU. This list of characters just gives me flashbacks of the DC extended universe, where we first got a Man of Steel solo film, and then we got so many unnecessary characters stuffed into Batman versus Superman. They were in a rush, and they threw in as many characters as they could into that single film, and they announced a host of films. We're even seeing if the films they were putting out had worked. This is where I believe the Arrowverse really succeeded. Coming off the immense success of Smallville, the CW decided to create a spin off show for the character of Green Arrow. Greg Berlanti, Mark Guggenheim, and Andrew Kesberg were brought in to be a part of the creative team, and thus we ended up with the first season of Arrow. We follow Oliver Queen, a billionaire playboy who is stranded for 5 years on a deserted island after a shipwreck. And after his return, he becomes the vigilante known as the Arrow in an effort to clear his city of crime. The creative team wanted to go for a realistic take on the character and move away from any possible connections to Smallville. They had no plans to create a whole universe of characters when they first started off with Arrow Season 1. And unlike the DCEU, which was basically trying to play catch up with the MCU. In the DCU, we got Man of Steel, which was a mixed bag. And then we got Batman and Superman without any proper introduction to who Batman is. We had Lex Luthor thrown in, we had Wonder Woman thrown in, we had cameos from Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, we had this scene. And then we killed off our main character, Superman, in the end of the film. This is the second film in your franchise, and you have already killed off your main character. What are you doing? The Arrowverse, on the other hand, went for a more proper structuring. We had Arrow Season 1, and it was a huge success, following which we got Arrow Season 2. And that dived into more of Oliver Queen, his character development, along with developing his allies. We had now got 2 seasons focused on Oliver Queen and the rest of his supporting cast, and we had properly built out this world. It was at this point that we got our first look at a wider universe. Grant Gustin appeared in 2 episodes of Arrow Season 2 as forensic scientist Barry Allen. And at the end of the second episode he was struck by lightning, leaving us with the tease of him becoming the Flash. Now, this was initially supposed to be a backdoor pilot to the Flash TV show, but the plans were scrapped in favor of a proper traditional pilot. And that was a good decision. It allowed the creators to flesh out the world and the characters so much better. And so we got The Flash Season 1. The show focused on Barry Allen, who gained super speed after struck by lightning. And this was a more light-hearted show compared to the grittiness, the darkness of Arrow. We got brighter characters like Cisco Ramon, Iris West, Caitlin Snow. Characters were more vibrant. The show introduced concepts of time travel and the multiverse. It was a huge hit, and this is where the Arrowverse truly kicked off. We got the concept of the multiverse, and with that came Supergirl.
How did you do that?
I'm Supergirl.
Originally airing on NBC, the show was picked up by the CW, and It was a hit. It fit the light-hearted tone that had been established by the Flash, with Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl being established as the three faces of the Arrowverse. We could now explore more characters, bring in more teams. The franchise had truly kicked off by this point. We got our first team-up show, Legends of Tomorrow. This show brought in characters from Flash and Arrow, side characters, and gave them a chance to shine. Ray Palmer, Sarah Lance, Firestorm, Captain Cold, Heatwave. It was very interesting to see them on screen and in their own separate show where they could grow and develop as their own characters. Legends felt like a breath of fresh air. It could explore concepts like time travel, anachronisms, as well as magic. We brought in John Constantine. He became a permanent member on the team, and the mystical side of the Arrowverse was explored. We had now got four TV shows properly established the main characters of our Arrowverse, and now they slowly built out the universe. We got yearly crossovers which brought all of the characters together, and it felt like a proper shared universe. Invasion, Crisis on Earth X, Elseworlds, Crisis on Infinite Earth. You could debate on the quality of the crossovers as you may, but there is no denying that these crossovers brought the characters together and made the franchise more cohesive. This was in sharp contrast with the DCEU. After the failure of Batman v Superman, WB quickly changed up the tone for the next film, Suicide Squad. It was a baffling decision because we had not even established our main heroes in the universe, and we already got a team of villains that no one cared about. And with that came a slew of announcements. We got a first proper origin story for Wonder Woman, which, like Man of Steel, was its own contained story, and it was a huge success. This was the last good decision that the studio made, because after that came Justice League, and the warning signs were visible from the beginning. We had only established two and a half out of the six main characters of the movie, and one of them was dead. More setbacks came in the form of Zack Snyder leaving the project and being replaced by Joss Whedon, who completely changed up the look and tone of the film, reduced the runtime from 4 hours to 2 hours.
Are you serious?
When we got the theatrical release of the film, it was far from the film that we had been promised. The pacing was incredibly rushed. Cyborg barely got any screen time. Flash and Aquaman were reduced to jokes. The color grading felt completely off. The villain was really underwhelming. It was a complete failure of a project. And that's what effectively killed the universe. All the projects that had been announced so far were cancelled, and we started getting solo projects. Aquaman, Shazam, they were all good, and they had Easter eggs and cameos that signified there being a connectivity between the films and there being a universe, but there was no cohesiveness. There were no team up movies. We didn't see any of the three faces that we had established. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they hardly appeared in any movies. Many of the definitive live action versions of DC characters came from the Arrowverse. Barry Allen, Oliver Queen, Supergirl, John Constantine, Ray Palmer, Killer Frost, Eobard Thawne, Deathstroke, Captain Cold, Martian Manhunter. They might have been far from accurate portrayals of the characters established in the comics, but they were still hugely popular characters, and it was all thanks to the way the Arrowverse had been structured. The recurring appearances of the main characters allowed the Arrowverse to feel connected, cohesive, and it gave us people to actually root for. We knew who our faces were. So when someone died, someone left the show, it felt emotional. The DCEU hardly featured its main characters beyond 2017's Justice League. It has been 7 years since we saw Superman in a prominent role in a film, and he was supposed to be the face of the DCEU. He is supposed to be the face of DC alongside Batman. When you have two Shazam films within a span of 3 years, but the last Superman film was in 2013, you know there's a problem. While the Arrowverse did suffer after the COVID 19 pandemic, with the quality of the show slowly dying out, it cannot be denied that it built out its structure and established its characters way better than the DCEU or even the MCU post Endgame. So, coming back to what we started the video with, James Gunn DCU has a huge task ahead of it, building a proper foundation for an interconnected universe of stories. Instead of cramming in as many Easter eggs and cameos as possible, they should instead focus on first laying a solid groundwork that can later be expanded on. But these are just my thoughts. Do tell me down in the comments what your thoughts are regarding the Arrowverse, the DCEU, and if you are excited for James Gunn's upcoming DC universe. If you like the video, do like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos like this.